Well, we are here again to give you an update on something called the emerald ash borer. The initials are EAB. You might see that around. And this is a pest that's been causing us problems, not only in Vernon Hills, but a lot of other communities, especially where there's a lot of ash trees. We've come to talk to Dave Brown, who's our Public Works Director, to find out Vernon Hills' plan for dealing with the emerald ash borer. Thanks for joining us, Dave, and not the greatest story.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, emerald ash borer has been identified by the Department of Agriculture, so it is present in our town and it is an infestation. So we've been working with our village board, who's adopted a policy on how to approach it, how to manage our trees, and how to move forward with this disaster.
Okay. And it is, especially for people who love trees, and we have beautiful trees in this town. A good percentage of them happen to be ash because that's always been a hardy, great tree, particularly fast growing, so good for a young community. But the problem is kind of a recent problem, and it's not ours alone. So can you explain that emerald ash borer is kind of new to us because it's not a native around here?
Yeah, emerald ash borer has migrated from China, from packing carts, etc. So it's been prevalent in other areas. The infestation that we first knew about was in southeast Michigan, and they've been dealing with it for over 10 years. So we're really relying on some of their experiences, some of the other Lake County and northeast Chicagoland areas, talking with their foresters, talking with their communities, their village managers, how have they approached it in the past. So we're really networking with them and learning more about how best to approach it. And that helped us formulate our policy.
Okay, let's talk about the policy for here in Vernon Hills. And as you said, it's based on a lot of best practices and knowledge from other people. So what is the plan for us here?
For instance, this year, in terms of ash trees, we'll be removing 160 ash trees. We also have some injections that we do in select areas, more important, prominent areas.
And when you talk about injections, that's something that they're hoping can save the trees, but I've heard it's not like 100%.
Well, our forester will help us a little bit more with all the details on that. The verdict's still out in terms of its use and will it stall the spread of emerald ash borer. It really depends on the health of the tree and how far emerald ash borer has infected the tree and whether or not it will work or not.
Okay.
So.
But at any rate, you're going to try that with some, and then the rest is to just eradicate. So to get rid of the tree that has the pest in it.
Absolutely. The ones that we have identified that have a substantial amount of emerald ash borer presence, we are removing those. Again, 160 trees that we're currently removing. Those will be replaced this spring. Mm-hmm. We have a second component within our road rehab project, which is on the east side of Deer Path Drive. And for those areas, we're looking and we're talking with residents through a survey how they would like us to approach emerald ash borer. There are some trees that are more infected, but we want to be proactive because we are doing substantial infrastructure improvements and we want to address it concurrently with that project.
Okay, so when you said road rehab, you're going to do some grinding of the pavements over on East Deer Path, and the idea being then, if you're already digging everything up, just take care of the trees too?
Absolutely.
It's going to be a mess for a little while, so.
It absolutely will be. So while we're working through it, we look at the whole infrastructure, not just the street, and the trees are an important part of it. So we want to address that.
Okay, so that's our plan going forward. We're going to see 160 trees removed. Now, as far as, and replaced, and so when you're replaced, I'm assuming it's not with ash, so we're going to see some new trees?
That's a really good point. One of the things that's really important is we need more plant diversity, so we're going through more selection in terms of a wider, diverse population of various trees. Mm-hmm. And so we're not really faced with the issue we are right now. We've got over 3,500 ash trees trees, and it's approximately 30% of our tree population. We want to reduce the amount of population of any given tree, so if we do have a specific pest, it impacts a lower percentage of those trees.
And again, that was we aren't alone in this. So a lot of communities are actually, they have even a higher percentage, because I've seen pictures of places in Michigan where it's just become treeless.
Yeah, absolutely. Ash trees are a very popular tree, as was some
the elms and all
the elm trees in the past. So I think really the solution is to try not to have too many of one type of tree.
So we can watch for this going forward, and I know as part of your process too, you'll be reevaluating as you go forward and see what else changes and what else happens. And we'll talk to Ken Loar in a second about the actual process of when we have a tree that's replaced and removed. What about trees that are on private property? Do you have any guidelines for that?
In fact, in terms of our policy, and maybe talking about both public and private, we will, as part of this program, also add a door knocker that we share with residents. So as part of our policy, we go out and identify the tree and its presence for EAB. If it has a problem, whether it's on private property or a village tree, it has information for both of those. So if it's a public tree, we mark it with the orange X, and we notify the resident by this flyer that there is the presence. It gives contact information so they can reach out to us, learn more about it, and continue with that. In terms of private property, if we identify areas adjacent to it and we look on the private property and we see that there is similar symptoms, then we want to bring that to the attention of the homeowner too, and so that flyer really helps with communication.
Well, so on top of it, you're reaching out to people for their private property, but it would probably be a good idea if we kept our eyes open too, because you can't have eyes everywhere. There's a lot of yards and just places around here.
Absolutely, and what Ken will certainly advise us, and has advised me before, one of our approaches is really looking for woodpeckers. We've been chasing woodpeckers and looking up in the trees. They really do help us, because it's very hard to identify EAB inside the tree. We look for signs of impact. So woodpeckers are feeding on them, so we look for the damage, the brown mottled look on the tree, because they're feeding and pecking on the tree, and so that helps us with identifying it.
Okay, so that's same things we can be doing too then. And now this is going to be kind of an ongoing problem, but for now, that 160 trees in this program for right now, I understand you were able to secure some funding to help cover that.
Yes, we're fortunate to receive through the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus $20,000 to help us deal with ash trees. So it will help reduce our population of ash trees, and we will be able to help replant and reforest our village with those funds.
Well, that is good news, because I know a lot of villages aren't in that position where they can take the trees out, but there's not much else they can do. So it sounds like we've got a good plan in place.
Absolutely. So we'll have some removals. There'll be some injections. We are also talking about with the high school a wood reutilization program, which would be working with the wood shop teachers and trying to take some of the ash trees and trying to have some future use and some benefit out of it, instead of chipping all of the trees and then putting them as mulch.
Okay, gotcha. Well, it sounds interesting, and it sounds like it's an ongoing thing, so we'll probably be back to talk with you some more. Thank you for taking the time. We'll learn a little bit more about the particulars, but if people do want to find out more about the program, the policy, things like that, there's information online, and you can always call over to Public Works. So.
Thank you. Thank you for getting the word out on this.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be watching. Now we're going to learn a little bit more about what the actual process is, so we can be watching for those dreaded orange X's. So thanks for your time.
Sounds good.
Well, we are joined now by Ken Loar, an arborist for the village. And Ken, we're standing where the guys have just made quick work of an infested tree, but that's kind of the process that you're going to see in the neighborhood.
Right. We're going through taking down right now the trees that we identified back in March. is being infested with emerald ash borer. Unfortunately, we have to get these trees down. The next few weeks, we are going to be getting our delivery of our new parkway trees. We are going to replace the trees this spring that we did take down. And we're hoping that it's going to take some time. We have 160 trees to replace, so it's going to take some time to get through those. But we'll be coming back, grinding up the stump, and replacing a new tree.
Okay, so what we see here, even though it's nice and clean, that's actually the first step is when you came around and identified the trees and you gave people a notice of that. Let's back up to that.
Sure.
So you've let people know this is what's going on around your neighborhood.
Right. When we came out and identified the trees as being infested with emerald ash borer, we left a card on the door letting them know why there was an orange X on the tree. So it identifies that emerald ash borer has some information on there. If we identified it on their private property too, there's a little spot on there that we let them know that their private property tree may also have emerald ash borer, and there's information on there to how to deal with that.
You said you've got on the website, you've got some contractors that you have to really be certified for emerald ash borer because of it being a pest.
Well, yeah, the contractors have supplied us with a copy of their emerald ash borer compliance, which is through the Department of Agriculture, just to let the contractors know that there are certain regulations that need to be taken as far as dealing with emerald ash borer material.
Now, and if I'm a homeowner and I got an X that said you might have emerald ash borer on my property and I got 6 trees and I don't know which one, are you there to give us a little bit more information?
Sure. If you need it, I can come out and identify the tree for you if you need help identifying.
And I know in the past we've said we've been worried about emerald ash borer being transported, so if we do cut the tree down ourselves, I assume that there's some precautions we should take with the wood that comes off of them?
Right. We hopefully they just keep the wood on your property. If you need it to use it for firewood, that's fine. You can cut it up as long as it stays on your property. We don't want people taking it camping with them and moving emerald ash borer to different locations. So if it's used on your property, that'll be fine. But most of the contractors will grind up the logs into chips and then remove them in that fashion.
I gotcha. So that's what you've identified the trees, you've given the notice on the doors. They come and they chop them down, and you said it's going to take a little time, but eventually somebody will come and grind the stump out so it won't look like that.
Right. We're still in the process of removing all the trees. It is taking some time. So as soon as they are down, we will be again grinding the stumps and replacing the new trees.
Okay, and when we see a new tree, is there anything, I know sometimes, I can't imagine, but when we get to the hot weather, sometimes it gets dry out here, and I know you guys are really good about coming around with the water truck, but is there anything we should be doing to protect these new trees?
Yeah, actually, keep lawnmowers and weed whips away from the trees as much as possible. If the tree is dry, you can help us out and give the tree a little water, but not too much water. Sometimes too much water can be bad for the trees, so we don't want the trees to be soaking water every day. They need about 1 inch of water per week. Okay. So if we have placed a green watering bag on the tree about once a week, that bag will be filled up with water, and that should be supplied, plenty of supply of water for the tree for the week.
So it should be good for the week just from those green watering bags that you come around and fill up. Well, that's the information we got for people. I know there's more information online, and you guys are great about lending a hand and lending your advice, so I know you're going to be busy right now.
Very busy.
And as an arborist, I know it's not fun to take down trees.
Well, it's very sad. I'm fortunate. And it is a natural disaster. Unfortunately, this pest is an exotic pest. It's not native to the United States, and now we have to deal with it. It's here. It's in every corner of the village already. We found trees infested with emerald ash borer, and so we're having to find it and remove these trees. And unfortunately, as an arborist, that's something we don't like to do. We're here to care for the trees, not necessarily remove them. So it's kind of sad to do this, but in a way, I'm looking at a positive spin on it is that because we are so heavily populated with ash trees, over 30% ash trees right now as we currently stand, we have an opportunity now to improve the urban forest with a more diverse selection of trees and really beautify it for the future.
Well, that's good to know. Let's look forward. That's the way to do it. So thank you for all you guys and the crew are doing. We know you're going to be busy. If people want to know more, go to the website, give them a call, and I know they're here to help you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.